Guys, real quick before the video starts, this video was made a few weeks ago when I was like kind of in the mode of just recording a bunch of videos. I was able to piece it all together. Since I'm not able to film any videos right now, I can still edit and use my computer. I just can't play BeamNG drive. So this video was put together and it was filmed a little bit ago. If I had time to, and if I could, I'd probably remake it and do it a little bit better. But I think it's still a very important video and a very informative video. So definitely stick around, and there's going to be a lot of good information on there. Also too, I'm trying to hit 5,000 before the end of the year. And I know that that sounds crazy because my computer just broke and I can't make any more videos, but help me reach that goal. And you guys are absolutely awesome. Enjoy the video. All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to BeamNG. If you're watching this video, you have either got yourself a Cammus C5, so congratulations to you, or you're on the fence of thinking about it, or you have another wheel brand or something else that you may be using in BeamNG. So as far as BeamNG drive goes and using your wheel, it's actually pretty difficult because there's so many different vehicles. Each vehicle performs a little bit differently. And we're gonna talk about all that stuff here in a little bit. Do bear in mind that this video is unscripted and kind of hinged, and I'm just going to be kind of talking and going over all the settings that I use in my setup. I've had the Cammus C5 for a few months now, probably 6 months or so. They sent it over to me when I had maybe 1,000 subs or 1,200 subs. Now we're at whatever number we're at now. I completely forgot. So, anyways, this wheel is absolutely amazing. I'm not going to go over the wheel too much because every wheel is different. If you guys do want to pick up anything from Cammus, like the C5 or anything like that, do remember that I do have an affiliate link. You get 5% off, and it'll also help me out tremendously. You guys have no idea. So you do find yourself at the end of this video go, I'm going to get that wheel, or I'm going to check something out at Cammus and get something. Promo code EctorPlays for 5% off. Okay, so starting off, the first thing that you really want to do is go ahead and mount your wheel to your desk or to your racing stand or however you have everything set up. You want your pedals connected, make sure everything is good. Obviously here I already have BeamNG open, so that's a good thing. I recommend opening BeamNG first before you even turn on the wheel. And what will happen is a little bit hard to explain unless you've seen it firsthand, but I will try to do my best to kind of explain this in a super fast way that, you know, you guys can stay entertained and not click off the video. Essentially, in the Cammus app, this is the Cammus app, it'll let you know everything is here that's connected. So you see I have the pedals, the base, it registers the base as its own thing, and then it registers the wheel as its own thing. Not entirely sure why. I'm not going to really ask too many questions. Moving on to parameters, this is where everything happens, like all the magic and the detail and everything like that. So we got from base settings to game effects to assistances. All this stuff can be done here, all the tuning, and also to your presets and profiles are also right there. So if you play multiple games, you can have multiple profiles set up. All right, so moving into devices, this shows you kind of just a rundown of what's going on. You can see that there's a wheel there, it's spinning. As I spin my wheel, if I click the buttons, you'll see that things are happening, you know, in game and obviously on the wheel. Till recently, the area right here, the kind of what's this called, the tachometer for the wheel and the shift light or the shift LED actually didn't work for a very long time. And right around the time when they released 0.33, right around when they released 0.33, they actually updated the wheel and now it's compatible, so it works 95% of the time. When you shift it shows it, and you can also change that here in the settings, so you can adjust the brightness. You can do speed instead of the gear, but I like the gear. And then you can change the way the LED is too. Oh, actually I like that. Oh, that's cute as shit. Oh, I like that actually. I never really looked down here because I'm kind of like a casual driver. I don't really pay attention to shift lights and stuff. And then the last thing is the updates. Updates is a little finicky, but you honestly don't have to do it that many times. We've kind of covered over the Cammus app, what you're going to do for BeamNG. And this changes for every single game. So you just have to kind of mess around. It's a little bit of a learning curve, and which is okay. You know, it's just a part of nature. Anything that you get like this, you'll have to kind of set up one time and then you're done. I never have to set this up again. Everything is already saved. So right off the top, there's two ways that I recommend you set up your wheel. The first way is if you're more of a drifter, or you want like more of an arcade-ish style game, which, you know, a lot of people may not want that, but I kind of like it when I'm like trying to drift or learn rally racing. Since I don't have an e-brake, and since the pedals don't come with a clutch, I recommend having the paddle shifters as your clutch and handbrake. It's a little weird at first because I actually never used to play like this, and recently a viewer left a comment in one of my videos saying that when they play Forza, they actually assign the handbrake to the paddle shift, and I think that's actually genius because obviously you can see my face from this camera. I have a lot going on my desk, and I have a work computer, and I'm also working while I'm filming, and I'm on this wheel a lot. I've put a lot of hours on this wheel. And if I had like a traditional wheel with like a bulky motor on the back and then the wheel that like quick connects on, I would be losing my mind right now because there'd be more stuff on my desk that I already don't want. And so if I had a shifter and an e-brake over here, I would just add more to the clutter. I already have this giant boom. The lighting situation up there, I don't even have the light set up today, so I apologize for the web camera being the quality being awful. To make a long story tall, what you can do is assign the handbrake to this and assign the clutch to the other paddle, and then use the closest buttons to your thumbs as the shifters. So here's the VVOS. Oh, I'm like, what in the world's going on? Let me turn this down because I don't want it to pick up. So I have the angle of rotation set to 260 or 270. So it makes the wheel, right, spin at full lock very quickly. So right here is straight. That's full lock. That's full lock. 270 is a little bit extreme, very sensitive. I'd probably recommend bumping it up to like 360, I think it is. Let me double check. So it's at 270 right now. So I have it set to 270. It's a little bit extreme. 360 is a little bit better, but I normally play at 1080, and I'll show you the difference of that in just a second here. But I just want to show you what it's like to drive with a steering angle of 270. So I shifted there, go down, pull the e-brake, second gear, probably a little bit too. Oh, that actually looks sick. All right, so I completely messed that shot up, but essentially this is what it's like kind of driving with an angle of rotation at 270. If I was a better driver, this would be a little bit better of an example. So you shift with the two buttons that are closer to you, and I like it a lot. I love rally drifting or rally racing or whatever with the remote. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. I still have my e-brake I can pull whenever I'm in a pinch and I need a turn or something. See, it just feels really good. And the reason why you want this turn to 270 is because you kind of always want your fingers near the paddle. I think a lot of people also do recommend it since this wheel isn't really made for drifting because of the flat bottom. People think that it's just best to just keep it this short. Again, this is all like the way I set it up, and I've been really liking this. Pretty neat. So if I'm ever doing something that's like strictly drifting or strictly rally racing, this is probably what I will set it up as. Okay. So again, I'm not the best. I've been practicing. I've been playing a lot. It's always fun doing these because every car handles a bit differently. Every car is, you know, that was beautiful. Every car is just different in its own way, and the VVOS is one of the best examples. All right, well, enough of that. Let's switch over to the other vehicle. So this is kind of one of the best drift vehicles that I like. Barstow, I think. but it's the LGN version. So it has has like an angle kit mod, other things. And it's very low on horsepower, 225 horsepower. Pretty slow. Put into second gear. And then with the clutch button, I can hold the clutch and clutch kick. So there you go. It does the drifty things. Obviously, you're not going to be winning awards, at least not right away. Drifting in this game is absolutely, because it's real physics. So I'm out of breath because I'm moving too. And personally, I like to keep the drift sensitivity way low because I do play for hours on hours. And having the sensitivity high, where there's a lot of force feedback, really just makes my arms and my back hurt, and it's just not comfortable. It's not enjoyable to me. So I rather have a little bit of a kind of flowy wheel, I guess I'd say, more than the force feedback itself. So going here into options, we're going to go to controls. This is really important too. The force feedback setting in the game itself is super important. I'm just going to go one by one, right? And you guys can follow along with me. And if you have any questions, obviously leave them down below and I'll answer them 100%. So the 1-to-1 angle ratio, or angle, is always going to be the number that's in your Cammus app. So right now I'm at 270. Open Cammus app. It's going to be 270. Beautiful. Also, what we can do too, I'll show you guys the 1080, which I normally use. That's what I normally use for everything. So going back up to 1080. And for you to do that is you just click on the name and then hit apply. So you can see that it changes. If you found a good setting, you can just save, and that saves it. I don't know if I showed this already. For power, you just keep it at 100. So you're essentially telling the game that it can use 100% of the 5 Newton meters that this wheel has. That's what you want. Power 100. These two I keep at 50. The effects intensity I keep at 100, and everything else I turn. Obviously, this is the way I play it. You guys can set these up and play with this. These add a lot of feedback and a lot of good stuff to the wheel, so I definitely recommend you guys messing around with it, but I don't like the way it feels. I just like the kind of the bare bones effect of the wheel. And then in the assistance tab, I do hands-off protection. I disable it for drift mode. The end stop strength I do to soft because I don't want it rocking my desk. And then you don't need to invert the force feedback unless you invert it in the game, but obviously leave it off. Okay, so that's pretty much it, I think, for the Cammus app. Going here into the BeamNG app, or the game. So now we're at 1080, so we need to go to 1080. Perfect. All right, so the 1-to-1 behavior is very interesting. So in this game, you'll drive a lot of vehicles, and each vehicle has different wheel kind of rotations, right? Like a T-Series will have probably 3 or 4 good rotations. A D-Series will probably have a little bit less. Like a really fast Scintilla may have really little, angle of steering, I guess would be the name. If you're going rock crawling, you may have way less than a race car, XYZ. So here, I like to keep it at disabled if needed. So it keeps it 1-to-1, and then they'll disable it if there's a vehicle that doesn't cooperate well. And you can read through the list here, and you can see what kind of fits you best. If you're more of a rock crawler and you like the off-road vehicles, you may want to keep it disabled. Race cars can, like, you can read that stuff and you can see what it is. I like to keep it at disabled. It just works best for me. Faster if needed makes it to where, like, this turns. And then when it's getting closer to the end, it just goes, just like spins really fast. Because it like accommodates for the rest of the wheel that you haven't spun yet. So I don't really like that. Because like you'd be turning, and then it goes, and then it like really turns. I don't really like that. So I keep it disabled. All right, coming down to linear C, linearly, whatever. Coming down to this one, you want to leave it at 1 because you want a 1-to-1 steering angle of your wheel. So no matter what, it's always going to be at 1. It doesn't exponentially go up. You don't want curves essentially. So let's bring that back down to 1. Dead zones, you want to leave it dead center unless you have like a wheel that has some sort of issue that doesn't really read, but the Cammus wheel is a direct drive, so it's very precise as far as the center goes. So you can leave all that stuff at 1. Force feedback, I think out the gate it's going to be disabled. So you want to enable it, obviously. You don't need to invert it. That can stay off. So strength. So this is pretty interesting. The game will actually tell you, like if you have a 5 to 30 Newton meter, you want to use between 50 and 200. So depending on how much strength you want to use is what you can kind of set your strength to. 150 is perfect for me. I can game on this for hours on end with any vehicle, and I don't have an issue. Something that I don't like about BeamNG is a lot of the cars, even like the newer cars, which makes no sense, doesn't spawn with power steering. And when you're doing this, it does affect it tremendously. So having a vehicle without power steering and with power steering on the wheel does affect how it performs. So keep that in mind, 100%. Steering lock strength I keep at 0 because that's when it kind of hits the end. You know, you don't want it to like kick back. That's essentially what it'll do. And side acceleration I keep at 0. Don't really know what it does. I've messed with it. Not really. It doesn't really do anything for me. So reduced strength while parked is kind of a neat feature. If you have everything set up right and this is off, what will happen is when you stop, you'll start causing oscillations. And this is a normal like direct drive wheel thing. It's just one of the things that happens, and it'll just start doing this, and it'll exponentially get worse. Sometimes it's normal for steering wheels. It's just the thing that they do. So if you're having that issue, you can turn this on, so when the vehicle is stopped, it won't do it. I think I have everything turned down so far that it won't do that, but that's pretty good. And it'll kind of it's more realistic too, because you know, when your vehicle's parked, the steering is a lot stiffer. But yeah, you can play around with that. So smoothing is interesting. That I keep smoothing at 330. So the more smoothing you have, the less force feedback you'll get, if that makes sense. So the smoother you have it, the less kind of bump in the roads you'll feel. If you hop a curb, you won't feel it as hard. If you lose a tire, you won't really feel it as hard as you would normally. Now you still do feel it. There still is that stuff that comes through in the wheel. Like if your back end is sliding out, your wheel will try to, you know, fight against you or whatever. So 330 I found is like a really good spot. Obviously for per wheel you can play around with it and go from there. I think I skipped over Logitech features because obviously I don't have a Logitech. So, but if you do, you can turn that on and you can do the true force stuff. I don't know, man. Secondary smoothing, you can just leave that on. It's automatic, so you don't have to worry about it. Update rate limit is automatic, and upload type is fast. Now this is one thing here that I don't really mess with, and I've had in the past. So a response curve is a file that you generate and you put in the BeamNG files for each wheel. So what essentially what this long paragraph here is telling you to do is they want you to download a third-party app that is called like a wheel checker. And essentially what it'll do is it'll run tests. It'll make your wheel do this for like a minute or 2 minutes. It'll just oscillate it back and forth. And what it's doing is it's getting a number of what your wheel response is compared to the strength and compared to the game and doing things like that. When that test is done, it's going to create a file. And with that file, you can put in your BeamNG folder. And this is what that response curve is. I don't really have a care for it. I don't know. I've played with it on and off. I've done the test multiple times. I didn't really find a real kind of like difference, I guess I would say. Maybe it's because I have everything turned so low, I don't really notice it. But I would recommend Talks with Noise is a content creator who made a ultimate wheel setup video, and I definitely recommend you guys check it out if you are more interested in getting like a more detailed wheel kind of comprehensive guide. He really goes through it. He shows you how to set it up, kind of what I'm doing, but a little bit different as far as getting everything set up and dialing it in a little bit better. But it's all trial and error. You really just have to kind of play with it. There is a force feedback UI. So it does show somewhere. There it is, force feedback graph. So that's going to essentially show you everything that the force feedback is doing. And then for what I've heard is that clipping is actually pretty good. Not pretty good, but it's okay if your wheel clips. So if down there, I have my little wheel thing showing. So yellow is what I'm turning to. And then the red, if you see the red showing up, that's actually the force feedback being applied. So if I turn, yeah, I can feel the wheel fighting against me, and that's exactly what it's doing. If I were to spawn in a vehicle without power steering, which is like 95% of the vehicles in this, um, this is probably a bad example. Let me see here. Okay, we'll do something like the talent. I know the talent is notorious for not having power steering because it's my favorite. Oh, see. Okay, so you see how I'm turning the wheel in the red? See the red? That's the force feedback fighting against me. Now I gotta see why it's not turning. Oh, I think I'm at full lock. Okay, now you see? That's oscillation. Don't want that. Start driving. That's a lot better. Oh god. Okay, so as far as this goes, we're gonna need to work something out. So we need to see why is the wheel acting so sporadic? What's the issue? Is it because there's no power steering? Is it because I have something set too high? So let's kind of diagnose this together so you guys can kind of troubleshoot on your own. So I'm driving the talent. I know that the talent has really good power steering kind of physics. Some vehicle have nothing. Like some, especially modded vehicles. I think all of the BeamNG vehicles are fine, but like some modded vehicles have nothing. Like it's just like playing on the remote. Like you turn the wheel, nothing happens. I think the Durham used to be like that. See that? That's oscillation. Just gonna keep doing that, and then sometimes the game or the Cammus app will actually like shut it down because it notices that it's oscillating. So a good way to fix this is under controls, go back to force feedback, and then reduce strength while parked. That should fix our issue. Yeah, you see that's a lot better. So if you hold it, it's not gonna do it. All right, what if I knock it? Okay, that's a lot better. 100% better. Not trying to rip the desk off my rip the desk off my thing. Um or I'm sorry, rip the wheel off my desk. So now we can drive the vehicle. The strength feels really good. Now this thing is a no power steering vehicle, so I can definitely feel it in the wheel. You can see the red is higher than my yellow on the bottom over there. And I'm sure if we had the force feedback graph, you could see how much Newton meters it was pulling and all that good stuff. So other than that, that's pretty much the basics of the wheel. I think the next thing we can go over is all the controls because that alone is kind of its own little segment. Um, but I will tell you this, as far as the controls, there's no right or wrong way to do it. The controls is up to you. You can ultimately choose what buttons do what, and you can go from there. So since I play career mode a lot, I usually have a button that's like the select or the menu button because I do choose the vehicles. Like, you know, when you pull up to a spot, you want to click OK, you know, park or whatever. But for this demonstration, I changed it to the shifties, boys. And that's usually my look back wheel. These are my signals. These I usually use for four-wheel drive on or off, ABS modes, and cruise control or engine braking. So turning the engine brake on like the T series or something. But yeah, this is going to be probably it for the video. I think I've pretty much touched on everything to kind of get you guys set up. See, the oscillation is acting. It usually never is that bad. And I've been playing around with all the settings and stuff, trying to figure some stuff out. But I bet you as soon as I add, I don't, so these two buttons are my like config. So if I just click config, steering, and if you have a wheel, you know about this. You always have to add power steering for some reason. I get it on a vehicle this old. There's no power steering, but like, I bet you spawn any Bastion, there's no power steering. Doesn't make sense. All right, well, yeah, that feels a lot better, a lot smoother. Love that color too. I didn't know I could change it to that. Yeah, that's actually driving really nicely. Look, let me show you guys. Let me show you. I bet you any Bastion I spawn in, right? You would imagine there is no Bastion that comes out today out of the factory. I'm sorry, no Hellcat or no Bastion. This doesn't make sense. Like, you come in here, let's just do like a civilian one, right? Because obviously the drift one may not have power steering. This is a Battlehawk manual. Let's look at power steering. Let's see if I'm wrong. Power steering empty. Like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense. That's something that needs to be fixed, I think, personally. ETK series, right? Or ETK 800. Come in here. Let's just choose any random one. I think this is like the most luxury one you can get. That's not like a track car or whatever. Like vehicle config. Power steering empty. But yeah, it's just one of those things that needs to be, I think, just kind of revised. Now that they've updated the way, you know, force feedback is in BeamNG, it's probably something that they're working on, maybe. But I may address it to someone. I don't know, make a forum post on it, bring it to their attention. This thing drives good. Yeah, that's gonna be it for today's videos. If you guys have any questions, leave a like down below and ask away, man. Let me know if you guys have any questions, need any help setting these things up. Hit me up on Discord. I'm pretty much on there. I'm on my computer a lot, so so here's a good show you guys. So for the ESC, I can just turn that cycle through. You can set these up, these turn dials, two different ways. They are 12 buttons essentially, so you can either have them set it up to toggles, so go left and right, like back and forth, or you can have them actually set up as 12 different buttons. So up to you. All right, I think I've talked enough in today's video, so that's going to be it for today. Definitely, if you guys have any questions, like I said before, leave them down below, and bye.